You're standing in the freezing snow. In your hand, you hold a simple wooden stick with a sharpened rock tied to the end. The wind is howling, but you can still feel the heavy footsteps shaking the earth beneath your feet. Emerging from a freezing fog is a creature the size of a two-story building. It weighs 12,000 pounds. It has a thick coat of matted fur, skin tougher than modern Kevlar, and two massive curved tusks that can easily crush a human skull with a casual swing. You don't have a gun. You don't have a horse. You don't even have a single piece of metal. But your tribe is starving, the winter is long, and you need to kill this woolly mammoth. How did our ancient ancestors manage to hunt and take down the largest, most dangerous land mammals of the Ice Age using nothing but wood, stone, and bone? If you picture a prehistoric mammoth hunt, you probably imagine a disorganized mob of screaming cavemen running directly at the beast, throwing sticks and rocks until the animal eventually falls over. It's a common image, but in reality, trying to fight a mammoth head-on with a simple spear is a guaranteed death sentence. When paleontologists examined the fossilized skeletons of Neanderthals and early humans who hunted large game, they constantly find massive bone fractures. In fact, their injury patterns perfectly match those of modern professional rodeo riders who get trampled by bulls. To kill a mammoth, early humans couldn't rely on brute strength. They had to treat the hunt like a highly coordinated military operation. They relied on advanced physics, engineering, and environmental manipulation. First, they needed a weapon that could actually penetrate skin that was up to 2 inches thick. A normal human arm simply cannot throw a spear hard enough to pierce a mammoth's vital organs. So our ancestors invented a biological cheat code, the Atlatl. The Atlatl is a spear thrower. It's a specialized piece of wood with a hook at the back that holds the end of a flexible spear. By swinging the Atlatl, a hunter essentially adds a second joint to their arm, acting as an extreme lever. This leverages the physics of a whip, allowing the hunter to launch a spear at over 100 miles per hour. A spear thrown from an Atlatl carries the kinetic energy of a modern handgun bullet. But sheer force wasn't enough. The rock at the end of the spear, often a beautifully crafted piece of flint known as a Clovis point, was engineered for maximum damage. It wasn't just sharp, it was designed to detach. Once the heavy spear punched through the mammoth's thick hide, the wooden shaft would fall away, leaving the razor-sharp stone blade buried deep inside the muscle. As the mammoth panicked and ran, the stone blade would shift and slice internally, causing massive bleeding. However, even a bleeding mammoth is a 6-ton weapon of mass destruction. If it charges, you die. So, the absolute golden rule of mammoth hunting was this: never fight the mammoth on its own terms. You must control the battlefield. Instead of attacking the herd on open ground, human hunters used the environment as their ultimate weapon. Tracking a mammoth wasn't just about following footprints. It required an intimate understanding of animal psychology. Hunters had to know the mammoth's blind spots and predict the wind direction so the giant wouldn't catch their scent. When they were ready, they would startle a carefully selected mammoth using fire, loud shouts, or waving torches. They wouldn't chase it to catch it. They chased it to steer it. Their goal was to drive the massive beast toward a natural trap. Mammoths were incredibly heavy, with relatively small feet for their massive weight. This made them highly vulnerable to soft ground. Hunters would herd a mammoth into a frozen bog, a deep mud trap, or a narrow canyon where it couldn't turn around. In some famous archaeological sites, like La Côte de Saint-Brelade in Jersey, researchers found evidence that hunters chased entire groups of mammoths off the edge of sheer cliffs, letting gravity do the killing for them. Imagine the climax of a hunt in a prehistoric bog. The mammoth, panicked and exhausted, sinks up to its chest in the thick, freezing mud. It trumpets in rage, swinging its massive tusks, but it cannot lift its heavy legs out of the trap. Now, the hunter's close in. They don't rush blindly. They stand at a safe distance on solid ground, using their Atlatls to launch volley after volley of stone-tipped spears. They aim for the lungs, the heart, and the major arteries. It is a slow, methodical, and incredibly dangerous process. Even trapped in the mud, A single desperate strike from the mammoth's trunk could instantly break a hunter's spine. Eventually, blood loss and exhaustion take their toll, and the giant collapses into the snow. The death of a mammoth was a monumental event. One single mammoth provided thousands of pounds of high-calorie fat and meat, enough to feed an entire tribe for weeks. And absolutely nothing was wasted. The thick furry hide became winter clothing and heavy tent covers. The massive ribs and leg bones were used to build the structural frames of their winter shelters. The dense fat was burned as fuel for fires in the freezing, treeless tundra. Even the tusks were carved into tools, needles, and art. A single successful hunt literally meant the difference between a tribe surviving the brutal Ice Age winter or freezing to death in the snow. When we look back at our ancient ancestors, it's easy to dismiss them as primitive or simple. But look at what they accomplished. They were soft, slow, and fragile primates living in a world dominated by armored giants and apex predators. They didn't conquer the world with sharp claws, thick fur, or brute force. They conquered it with the most powerful survival technology ever created: human intelligence and teamwork. The next time you see a picture of a woolly mammoth, don't just think about how impossibly big the animal was. Think about the incredible courage and genius of the humans who figured out how to bring it down.